What is happening, Post Shifters? Welcome back to another episode of the Post Shift podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Shawn Soole. As always, I'm always excited about these live streams and interviews and stuff. And I was lucky enough to meet Hugo from Bar Pompette in Toronto in March, I think, at the RC show in Toronto. And it's the very first time we ever met. And for some reason, we just clicked. And I don't know what it was or how it was, but we just had a great time at the RC show. And then being able to take a walk through Pompette, have cocktails at Pompette. Luckily enough, we got to host Hugo and Dash out here in Victoria a couple of months ago as well. So just had a really great year. And before I bring him out, because he's going to be super modest and he's not going to say all these things. So Bar Pompette this year is a stellar year. They got number 1, Canada's best 50 bars. Number 29, North America's best bars. And then just recently announced number 70, world's best bars. And Hugo has been super busy. We were just chatting in the green room that he was in Mexico like till Friday last week. He goes to Europe. He goes to Miami after that. Then he came back home and then he goes off to Europe. So I'm really glad that he's given me some time out of his busy schedule to come and hang out with me. Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Shawn?
Very, very good. I do appreciate that you're wearing a cocktail shirt from Bar Pompette. I saw a couple of photos of that when you were in Mexico. And I'm like, because you've got a Cornichon one as well, yeah. And I'm like,
it's very new. It's very new. So Mexico
very,
was
very
the
cool.
fastest.
It's very, very cool. Not many bars actually have like a cocktail T-shirt just for their bar.
Yeah. We wanted to do something a bit more fun and different. So that's why. Yeah.
So usually I kick off every podcast with our origin story. Like, how'd you get your start in the hospitality industry? Because one thing that you made very clear when we first met that you weren't from Quebec, you were actually French. And that was very important for you to point out to me. But where'd you get your start? How'd you get into hospitality? Then how'd you make your way all the way to Canada?
I grew up in a family where like I felt like everyone was very involved in the industry, different level. Like my mom has been working in the wine industry. I'm from Alsace, so like small region, but like very big region in terms of like wine production. And yeah, and so my mom has been working in this industry for like 40 plus years now. My grandfather was a chef. Everyone cook in the family, so I got like kind of grew up in a family where food and wine and spirits were like a very important part of like everything, every family reunion. So yeah, I started like very early, and I took a very early decision to go work in kitchen. I think at 10 years old, I asked my mom asked me what I wanted to do for my 10 years old anniversary birthday, and I asked her to go in a Michelin star restaurant. And so it started a bit that way. And then at 13, I started working in kitchen in France. I went through different restaurants. Anyway, at some points, I kind of like needed like a little break of the kitchen world, and that can be very intense. And I did an extra 2 years in was like marketing and accountability in the hotel industry for 2 years. So definitely not my favorite thing. It was very, very interesting. I'm very glad I actually did it today. But at the moment, I was like living like kitchen and working on like crazy in this environment. Going back to behind a desk and doing accountability for an hotel, that was kind of a weird change. But the bar of this hotel, kind of like no one was working there. There was no bartender. It was only like the people from the front desk that were doing the drinks or whatever. And so slowly I was like, oh, maybe like we can do something better in this bar. And so I started learning about cocktails. I started with a mojito and then a margarita and then a daiquiri. And then slowly I was like, well, wait a second. There's something I can maybe use my skills that I learned in kitchen for these years and do something different behind the bar. And so that's why like slowly I built up and I discovered the world of cocktails. And I was like, yeah, that sounds actually more like what I'm looking for now.
When did you make the move to Canada, and what was the reason for it?
I always loved Canada. I visited for the first time for my 18 years old birthday. My mom and I, we took a trip through Canada, and USA over 2 weeks. That was like beautiful. But Canada really stand out to me. Like the people, the life here, the landscape, everything. Like there was something that's, I don't know, some felt right. I obviously felt in love first with Quebec. I really, really fell in love with that
Hmm.
because there was this kind of like mix of a culture that I know that I'm coming from, mixed with a culture that I'm discovering now, the North
Mm.
American culture, and there was like this clash that was working so perfectly in some ways, especially I feel like in Montreal. Um, but when I decided to move in Canada, I was like, I don't want to move to Montreal because I wanted to discover more like the rest of the Canadian culture first,
Mm.
and see what was happening. To be honest, Toronto was never my choice.
Oh.
Now, Vancouver was my first choice, um, and then I moved to Vancouver. Then I went to work in Alberta for a little bit during the winter season, and
Well,
the
why
idea
would you
was
do
like
that?
after, huh?
Why would you do that? No one
Because I wanted
chooses to
to,
go work in Alberta in the
yeah,
winter season.
I wanted to see the snow in the winter in the Canadian Rockies. I want like it
Mm.
was a part of the thing. But the plan was like as soon as the winter season would be down, I would move back to Vancouver. Um, and that never happened because I got this offer in Toronto and I landed in Toronto in February 2020. So
Oof.
yeah,
Not a good time to be
yeah.
entering in Toronto.
Uh-uh.
Was that when Pompette sort of started being rumored that they came to you and said, "Hey, would you be up to spearhead this place?"
Yeah, no. So Max, one of the three owners of the restaurant and the original project of Pompette, I knew him from back home. Out of like the three other owners, two are from the same city as I am, so Strasbourg
Mm.
and Alsace, and then she's from Mauritius Island. Um, but so one of them, Max, who's the bartender, I met him a couple of times back home, and I was really following what he was doing because he moved to Paris and he was like running the bar at the Bristol Hotel in Paris. He is also like Meilleur France, so like the when you see the chef with the French flag around the collar. So it's like it's a very very big distinction in France to have that. So like especially me coming from like a culinary background, it was like
Mm.
very very big. Anyway, so I reached out a couple of times before. It was never like the good time. Also, like I didn't add a proper visa to move here. It was hard for them to make a visa happen. So anyway, things involved. I moved to Australia for a year because I couldn't get my visa in Canada. And when I finally got my visa in Canada, I moved so Vancouver, Alberta. And when I was in Alberta, Max texted me and was like, "Well, I'll see you in Canada now. We're actually ready to open the restaurant in a couple of months from now. Would you still be interested to join us? Because I'm looking for someone to kind of like a right hand, or if I like, yeah,
Mhm.
someone to work with him when he would like oversee the general picture, and I would be mostly doing the work behind the bar to deliver that kind of like picture."
So Pompette opened the restaurant.
Yep.
Did the bakery and the bar come all at the same time?
No, no. So the restaurant opened, so ready to open March 2020, got delayed obviously. We opened the patio, I think in May 2020. We opened the patio, we went through all the thing. The summer was okay. Obviously mostly outside. And then like then we went through another lockdown that kind of like make everything a bit weird. And end of December, this place 5 doors down the restaurant is available. Beautiful, super cute little bar, no kitchen whatsoever, so no one wants it in a period of time where all the money that you make is with food to go.
Mm.
Like a
Mm.
place that has no kitchen, no one was like very attracted by it, which makes sense anyway. But we were in this like thing where like we have the kitchen and the restaurant. The restaurant was supposed to be on the paper, obviously, more wine bar, cocktail bar with a food offer. Once the restaurant opened and everything, like the way the world was going, the way the city was going, everything, the restaurant turned into a restaurant proper.
Mhm.
the wine offer and the food took over a bit more. So that's why like we visited it, and then Jonathan, Martin, Max sat down with me and be like, okay, the restaurant's going this direction. There's this place 5 doors down that looks like a very cool place to make a proper cocktail bar. Would you be interested to kind of like join us into a partnership and take over the management of the bar, of the cocktail bar? So that was the idea, and this is how Bar Pompette was born. In the middle of a lockdown, end of December. Yeah, we were like, okay, let's do it.
Did you have to do much to do with the space? Like when it came to like renovations and stuff, did you have to do much to the space?
No, like honestly, obviously there was a bit of work, but no, like compared to your other project, no, it was like very, very little. Like the spot on its own, like there was like a cachet already in the space. Like it was like
Mm.
already quite cute, and like
Hmm.
the brick wall, the facade, the wooden facade, like everything like kind of like already makes sense in that space. And it's very funny when like people come in and say, you make it look so French. I'm like, we haven't done anything to make it look like it
It's just
was
me.
all.
I'm here. I make
Yeah,
it look French.
exactly.
It's me.
Exactly. It's my accent that makes it
Yeah.
look. But yeah, no, it's like
It is a very
even.
pretty space.
Mhm.
It's a very pretty
It's a
space.
super cute space, and,
Yeah.
and I can say it that way because, as I say, we haven't done much to make it cute that way. It's
Mm.
obviously we did like a little tweaking inside, but like the most of the job was already done by the venue on its own. So yeah, that was perfect. That was
Mm.
perfect.
I call your cocktail menu comfortably elevated, because when you and I met at your bar, I think Karina from Mictus was taking us around during the
Mhm,
RC show, and
mhm.
you and I sat together, and all the cocktails came out, and we like you described every single cocktail, but every cocktail didn't feel, I'm gonna say it, douchey.
Yeah.
Like you're doing very elevated, high concept things, but in such a approachable, comfortable way. For your experience personally, like you've really jammed a lot into a short amount of time as a bartender. Like I'm seriously impressed, and it's very much how I took my start of my career. You've got a lot of high end equipment, your rotovap and that sort of thing, centrifuges and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Where did you learn? Was that during the pandemic, or did you have experience with that sort of equipment like beforehand when you were in Australia, or was it all something brand new?
No, it was all brand new. It was completely brand new. I mean, like we have a beautiful thing today. That is internet and YouTube and many websites, and it's crazy the amount of thing that even 10 years ago you needed to go work with the
Oh,
specific person to learn how to use this specific technique, and today you just have to Google it and boom, you have it. So it doesn't mean that you know exactly how to do it yet, but someone gave you the kind of like the general idea of like what do you take at the beginning, what is your end result is supposed to look
hmm,
like, general idea of like how it works in the middle, and then it's a lot of practicing, doing some stuff, throwing them away or drinking them solo, like but like,
yeah.
and it's just like it's a constant like trial of things. Yeah, it was very important for us to. There was two things. Like this bar was always a neighborhood spot.
Hmm.
And we wanted to keep this kind of like feeling, and also I always wanted something to be a bar. A bar is somewhere that you enter, no matter if we serve cocktail or beer or wine or whatever we serve. It's an environment first. It's like you want to feel great, you want to be able to feel free to talk to your friend, and like everyone feels good. So that was like the first thing. And most of the place, when someone has to explain too much about the cocktail that you're drinking, I have a feeling that you're losing this kind of like
Mm.
good mood and like interaction. So we didn't want it to have this kind of approach between the bartender and the customer. But at the same time, I always wanted like I love to play around with these tools. I love to play around with flavors and find new way of like extracting them or putting them in a glass. So yeah, there's the part when we work hard and we are maybe sometimes a bit douchey, but only between us. in between, you know. And as soon as we deliver it to the customers, it's a completely different story that we want to tell. It's we don't want to tell the story of our rotovap anymore. We want to tell the story
Mhm,
about where the product are from, who distilled the spirit, who grow the ingredients that are inside the cocktail, or just like, if you don't want to hear anything, have your drink and just have a good
mhm.
time, you know. And yeah.
That's a great segue because even though you're working on this sort of elevated level, you're still very grassroots in the way that you collab so much with local farmers and stuff, which I don't think people in from outside Toronto would go, okay, well, you're driving an hour and a half to the closest farmer because Toronto is so massive. But you
Yeah.
collab with so many farmers. How did that sort of kick off and start? Because I think sometimes farm to table is a nice romantic word to talk about in the kitchen, but it doesn't get talked that sort of way in the bar.
Yeah, no, it's no, for sure. I mean, it's very important. It started like by, I feel like obviously my culinary background behind like kind of like gave me this idea already, and then it's Martin, the chef of the restaurant and partner on the bar. She started working closely with a couple of great farmers around, and when I arrived, I kind of like started like discovering these people, going to see the farms, all of this, and then it was like perfect. So now at the bar, I can do the same. Like the restaurant use them as partner for the food at the restaurant. I can do the same. We can probably replicate the same at the bar and start like developing a relationship in between not just one of our business, but the two of the business. You know, like the restaurant and the bar. Um, so yeah, that's basically what started. And then I find something very interesting in terms of creativity by adding a third part into your creative process. That means that I don't decide maybe what ingredients I want to put on the menu next month, but these people that grow them will call me and tell me about these specific ingredients that they have at the moment. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, perfect. I would love to do something with that. But like, I would never have imagined working this product. But it's
Mm.
just by like chatting with those people, like, it's impressive. Like, they are the base of the foods and the ingredients that we deliver every day after transforming and everything. But like, they know so much and they have so much to teach us. And I love talking to them because they're a great source of inspiration on many of the drinks that we deliver at the bar.
What's an ingredient that someone's called you and then, hey, Hugo, I've got X amount of all of this, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like, I have no idea what to do with that, but I'll take it.
yeah. It started. I have one. It started a bit differently. But I love the story. It's last year. Last year we did. So one of our farmer, she called me and she's like, I tried a new variety of pumpkin that I got the seeds from this farm, this very cool farm in United States. When they're like, they kind of like select the seeds of different like vegetables and roots and everything. Anyway, so she got the seeds. She planted a little patch of this pumpkin, and she had like, I think, 6 or 7 pumpkin of this variety for this year. And so she called me. She was like, oh, are you interested? So I took 2 of them because no, actually I was there and she showed me that and she gave me 2, and I came back in Toronto with 2 in the trunk, and I put them in the oven at my place in my apartment. I just put them in the oven, the whole thing in the oven, and I'm watching TV, and within 30 minutes, the entire apartment was smelling like chestnuts, like chestnuts in the
Yep.
street.
Yep.
And where I'm from, Strasbourg, we have like this very massive Christmas market. And there's one thing is like there's everyone roasting chestnut on the street during the Christmas market. And I was on my couch and was like, I feel like in the street of Strasbourg right now. What is happening? The smell was insane because most of the pumpkin smell like chestnut, but that was like a different story. That was crazy. Anyway, so I took it at the bar the next day, and I started like playing a bit around, and we made a cocktail with American whiskey, the pumpkin flesh that we mixed with maple syrup from the same farm, and we clarify, and then the seeds of the pumpkin we dehydrate them, and then we make an horchata with it. like pumpkin seed horchata with like kind of different spices, mace, and we did that and then put it on nitrogen. So it's like super silky. It's like a
Mm.
pumpkin spice latte-ish, without being too much of a pumpkin spice latte, but like whatever. That was like kind of like the vibe we were going for. And yeah, and it worked very well. It worked very well. So I sent her the picture. She saw the thing anyway, and she called me this year, and she was like, "You go, remember that pumpkin from last year?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, perfect." It was like, "I have 80 of them this year." So then I was like, "Okay, perfect. I think the characters coming back on the menu." So no, I think we have processing already 45 of them. I'm not taking the entire thing. The bakery took some. They're making this beautiful thing at the moment. It's like a knot of like
Mm.
sugar and cinnamon dough, and inside they inject the pumpkin, like a crème pâtissière with the pumpkin and
Yeah.
spices. Yeah, it's quite sick. Yeah,
With
yeah.
all these with all these local ingredients, like I know that you're sort of always constantly processing, and that processing could be on a menu like 2 menus from now. Like you're always
Yeah,
like you never say no to a producer. You get stuff in, you go, okay, what we're going to do with this, you turn it into 3 or 4 different things, and then you sort of like not shelve it, but like you go, okay, well, we've got that for something we're going to do later on.
yeah, yeah. It happens sometimes. Sometimes we need to be careful because we don't have like room enough, and we don't want to waste, at the same time. So it's kind of like a tricky thing to be able to manage all the time, but I really love like to be able like to go different way, and to come back to the tools that we were talking earlier. They helped us a lot to be able to preserve. Like if we do a juice and we clarify it completely through the
Mm,
centrifuge, this juice will like last way longer than if we had the juice, because we remove a lot of those particles that would
mhm,
like start the fermentation and different things. So it allows us to actually keep the juice, even like if we make a syrup out of it and keep it in the fridge, well stored. We can keep it for weeks,
mhm.
with no issue. Um, but we need to be careful. We need to be careful. But no, we kind of have find our way of working. We're working with one ingredient at the time on top of the rest of our prep list. And we just like going through this process slowly, slowly. Yeah, that's it's kind of like necessary to go that way, just to minimize the waste, and
Mhm.
make sure that like it's not only a good thing to collect the ingredients from a farmer, it's also important to be able to process them properly to minimum the waste, and delivering at the best.
And your space is small. Like you took me for you took me for a tour, and I was just like, this is well. Firstly, it's too small for me because it's only like 6 foot tall,
Yes.
and then I'm a
Yeah,
relatively substantial human being. So even being in the space, I felt like I was going to turn around and knock something off a shelf. But you
yeah,
cut
yeah,
ice. You got your rotovap down there. You got your centrifuge. You cut ice down there, and
yeah.
I love your ice program because you and I both geek out about ice.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a big thing for Clive's, it's a big thing for you. And you even have different specs. Like we keep our specs pretty similar, but you cut ice specifically for individual cocktails because I saw your sheet.
Yeah,
Especially like how many times do I break a blade? Because that happens way more often than you'd think it would. People are like, how are you breaking blades on the bandsaw? I'm like, it's cold, it's running hot,
yeah,
cold and hot things snap.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but like with your ice program, because you specify it for each glass too, don't you? Like so that the wash line's nice, the garnish stays
So
out of it.
yeah, exactly. But that's the one of the beautiful thing about having the ice program in house. It's if we decide of a cocktail to go in a certain glassware with a certain garnish, very often like your ice, because you always like you can only buy the 2 by 2, 2 inches by 2 inches
Mm,
cube. Like it's tricky, sometimes the cocktail is too big or it's too small, or it's the garnish doesn't go on top, or the cocktail will overflow the garnish that is on top of the ice, like all this kind of little thing. So it gave us like this kind of freedom of being, okay, we want this cocktail in this glassware with this garnish, or should be our ice cube, and then we
mm,
check, okay, perfect, ice cube should be like this, beautiful, write down the specs, and then we know that. And then like every week we know how many of this cocktail in average we sell.
mhm.
We do an extra 20% on it, and we cut this number of cube. and we have them stored behind the bar, and like we have the thing for the cocktail. Yeah, so there's a freedom in there that is like, I really love that. I really love that.
Hmm. No, I dig it a lot. Like, like we just sell so much ice, like it's just insane. So with with the accolades this year, I get sometimes I was talking to Kate Gerwin the other week about it, and I think, and we actually did the seminar at the RC show about Canada on the world stage, and
Hmm.
I kind of made a joke because you're substantially younger than I am, and we were talking about Clive's getting on Tails list back in 2011, 2012, and I was like, you were 14 years old. Like, it really showed my age for sure. And I get that we don't do things for awards. Like, we're not. I don't think either of us are in it for awards. Awards are nice accolades. And every time an awards thing comes out, you hear the usual naysayers going, well, we don't need them, this sort of stuff. But do you think, as in a Canadian market, which we are still a small market in the grand scheme of the world, do you think awards like that really bring notoriety and some spotlight on not just Toronto but Canada as a whole?
Yeah, definitely. I really think so. It's two different thing, between um between what does to your daily customers and to your
Hmm.
business inside the four walls of the business. Yeah, for sure. Like awards will like bring a little bit of people a bit more, but it's what you deliver on a daily basis with your team directly to your customer that really affects these parts of the business.
Hmm.
On another end, like if you go outside of the four walls of your bar, and what I've seen since I moved in Canada, it's yes, the fact of like having more and more bar featured into this list, more and more bartenders. Like I mean, I'm thinking of like all these people that won the world class, for example. Like, no, we
Hmm.
had like our fourth Canadian
Yeah.
winner. I mean, when you see like what James Grant, what Caitlin, what Jeff, like what Jacob are doing on a global scene, and always like putting our like this country on top of like their talk and everything. For the 50 best, Kate Bushell, who just
Hmm.
got like bartender for North America. Like all those little thing, and then the bars, like when we are part of just like many bars that like not as many as we would, or as we expect, obviously, but like still like a good amount of bar that makes it to this list, different list. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. It shows to other people. It's a full thing, it shows to the brands that we're working with every
Hmm.
day that we're doing what we're doing for a reason. Also, like there's something behind it. Shows the rest of the community. It's beautiful, like when you travel the world and you talk with your peer around the world, and you're like, oh yeah, we're from Canada, and no people like they're like, oh yeah, Canada, I heard of that, I heard of that, I heard of that, I heard like, it's like it's cool. It's really, really nice. It's really nice to see that. And I think that this list in general, I wouldn't say like talk to awards specifically, but like the list in general, and the visibility that they can give to a country in a more international scale, like it's very cool.
Yeah, because I think sometimes, like, most of us know each other very well. We all support each other very well, but
Mhm.
you I think sometimes as Canadians, and I know we're both not Canadian, but as Canadians, we don't get on the hilltop and scream out like, "Hey, look at what we're doing up here! Like,
Yeah,
come and check it out."
yeah.
And we're a little bit more modest, and a little bit more subdued in the way of like plugging our own, like blowing our own horns, I suppose.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But yeah, no, it's nice to see also like the evolution. Like as you say, like what was it then? Like 13 years ago, you started like putting Canada on the list in tails, and then slowly like the thing, and then it grows, and then a little bit more happened, and a bit more happened, and and then it was like it's building something. But like it's also like to see like the sustainability of the thing. It's like
Hmm.
it's not like didn't happen just over the last 2 years and everything happened over the
Hmm.
last 2 years. It's like we're talking of like a 14 or 13 years kind of like period of time of like slowly building something, and like it shows that the foundation that like what's like the community in this country are super solid.
Mm. So with all the accolades, like I have to ask, like, has it changed? Has it added pressure? Because actually, no. Before I go into that, I wanted to say, like, you mentioned a story when I think you got number one Canada's Best 50, and one of your regulars was walking by, and you were talking about like the business inside the four walls, and the guy was walking by with walking his dog, and because you guys have got the windows open at Bar Pompette, he's like, "Hey guys, great work," and just like
Yeah,
kept walking his dog,
yeah.
like, and having your regulars sort of actually pay attention, go, "Oh shit, we've got best bar in Canada or the 29th best bar in North America," like just in Toronto, and just actually being able to visit bars of that caliber just down the road, as you said, your local bar, the
Yeah,
neighborhood joint.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been it always in our mind. It's very funny because we had a very big meeting with the team yesterday, especially with like the strong core of the team of like, okay, this happened now. Like we have been put on like on the world list, but what does it mean for us today here at the bar?
Hmm.
And like it was very important to be like, it's very funny because when we first started, the big thing for me was like understanding what our customers wants as well.
Mm.
We're gonna do what we want to do, but obviously kind of like see how the market react to it. It's like,
Hmm.
and we got like very good feedback straight at the beginning from many people, and that was nice. And it's crazy. I feel like the way our customers, even if they're still the same, but like or the same like kind of like vibe, but like they change also the expectation on us.
Mm.
They want more from us. They expect more from us, and not in a bad way. It's crazy to be like, I feel like our customers actually put more pressure on us than the awards on its own.
Mm.
I feel more pressured now about like the people that come in the bar with expectation from us than the fact that I'm telling myself, oh yeah, we're number 17 the bar. This is fucking lot shit ton of pressure on us. Like actually no, like these customers, like last Friday when I came back from from the trip I was working, I was like, they freak me out. Like they want a lot. Like they expect a lot from us.
Hmm.
And we need to deliver that to them, because if we don't like if we don't like be able like to follow a little bit what they want, it will be not like in a crazy manner, obviously, but you can see that they're a bit more picky, like they're a bit more, they're but it's nice. It's like it's on a daily basis, it's like it's not, oh yeah, we have a judge in the house, let's be
Yeah.
careful. No, it's, dude, we have this guy who's been coming for 3 years, and today I don't know what's wrong with him, but like he's really on us, like. And so it's, yeah, that's a lot of like, it's stressful. It's like, oh yeah, how can I still make a guy who's coming for 3 years still happy with new cocktails every day?
Do you think it's one thing, do you think the consumer's looking for a little bit more now that they sort of know your notoriety? They're like, okay, well, I'm willing to try some new things. But also, do you think there's a certain level of guest pride that their local neighborhood joint is like XYZ on the award, and they're like, well, I want to, not in a selfish way, like, I want to make sure that you guys are still like not going to rest on your laurels. Like, I'm proud of my neighborhood joint and telling people that I go, like, my local place is Bar Pompette.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, um yeah, I feel like there's multiple things, there's like what we do also on a daily basis, what is Bar Pompette today, but there's like, I feel like there's also more out of it. Like when we opened 3 years ago, our cocktail was $16.
Mm.
Today you go out, you pay a cocktail $22. And that was a thing also for us. We were like, okay, the world is telling us to put, I mean, not the world, but like the economy is like, if you want to kind of like make sense, you sell your cocktail around $20 $21,
Hmm.
like, because the price increases, the labor cost increase. So like you need to find a way there. But it's like, how can you explain that a cocktail to a regular customer, that a cocktail is costing $6 more than it was 3 years ago,
Hmm.
without having to explain them, my labor costs, my rent,
Hmm.
it's like, okay. And so it's like, let's, and that's also like a big thing for them, is like, I'm paying $22 for a cocktail, I'm expecting something,
Yeah.
and that was a big thing. And that's also like when we really started like all the storytelling on like the people that we were working with, and the storytelling and also the acting, of the working with those farmers and everyone, and like finding like better the highest quality product possible that we can use in cocktails, just to be like, okay, no, you're paying $22,
Hmm.
but this is what I'm giving you on top of this $22.
Hmm.
You know, you're gonna try an ingredient that you maybe never tried before. You're gonna try something that you know, like a new combination of flavor. You're gonna have like, and also our service was like, our service really involved in many way of like the way we acting with customers. So I think it's a mix of many things today. But it's important. I think it's always important to listen to the customers, because they they know more. They know more than we sometimes would, you know, like
Hmm.
admit it, and they're very aware of like what's happening, and it's very important to listen to them.
Is the Cornichon your signature cocktail right now at the thing? Is that ever going to get taken off the menu?
Yeah, no, I think my signature cocktail would always stay the 11 a.m. in Marseille.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah,
That one was surprisingly good. When you guys did the pop up, that
yeah.
one was the one that I was like, oh, because it was Ricard, and I'm like, oh god, that's a lot of Ricard in that cocktail. And then you taste it, and you're just like, oh damn, no, that's tasty.
But that's the thing. It's like I what I love about this cocktail as well is like it's a 50-50 in terms
Hmm.
of like customer appreciation because of the pastis. So pastis, which is like this licorice and anise liquor from south of France, people read the menu, they read pasties, they sometimes they just skip it, you know, like I don't know, but I skip it. I do like I ignore it, you know.
Hmm.
And then they read lemon, roasted almond orgeat, egg white, and they was like, oh yeah, perfect, that's going to me. And then when the customer order it, we're like, are you familiar with pasties? And I was like, no. I was like, yeah, it's the main spirit in this cocktail, and it's anise and licorice flavored aperitif. And then this is when the 50-50 happened. I was like,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know,
It's
and they
not
were
like just a
like, okay.
spritz. It's just not a spritz like most like anisets and absinthe and those sort of
No, no,
things are
no, no,
usually
no.
just a spritz. It's a substantial ingredient.
It is in there. So we infuse it with beeswax that kind of like round up a little bit the flavor, but still is very much there. But that's why like, and then the other is like, if you love anise and licorice, you should definitely go for it. If you
Hmm.
hate those flavors, you should stay far away from it. Like I can't, like, this is something with you personally, and I like, you know, it's like if you love the flavor, try it. If you don't like this flavor, I can be the like we can be the best bar, whatever you want.
Yeah.
This well, there's nothing we can do there.
Is there 11 a.m. in Marseille shirt?
Is it what? Sorry.
Is there an 11 a.m. in Marseille shirt? Like you've got the or Le
Oh
Marche one
no,
now?
not yet. But
Not
we'll
yet.
yeah, it will be coming. Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
working. You're working on it.
yeah, yeah.
On a personal level, obviously when you start getting these awards, your travel schedule changes. Like as you said, you did Mexico with Patron, then you did pop up in Miami, then you came home, and now you're off to Europe with Grand Marnier. And that's for World's Best 50 in Madrid. Yeah.
Yeah.
How has it changed for you on a level balancing out that still being home enough to work with your team and still have a foot in the door
Yeah.
to saying yes to like because you're not going to say no to these experiences and saying yes to as much as you can and like balancing that all out because you've also got a partner, so it's like home life, work life, travel, everything, and I'm in the same boat, so I know exactly how it works.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you deal with that?
It's yes, we say no sometimes. We have to say no sometimes. That's for sure. Um, it's on the bar perspective. Whenever we started like really traveling, we made sure that everything was like I had the chance to today I have like an amazing team that's working on the bar uh, on a more daily basis than I am now, and they're wonderful, and I trust them like 100% on what they're doing. I'm always overthink. I'm always there. I'm always available. They can always call me. They
Hmm.
know that like whenever I travel, whenever I go, my phone is always with me. I'm always available. Like if anything happen, if they need anything, like I'm always there. But also, yeah. So it was very important to be like, now that we're starting playing the image of the bar outside. of the those four walls again. Not over there. It's like it was very important that what's happened outside do not impact what's happened inside.
Hmm.
So the I didn't want the bar to be impacted by the fact of like us me being less there, or like in a, or there in a different way.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was like the first very important thing. And then yeah, I mean, it's starring. I'm still like, I feel like if I don't do it now, it's not in like 10 years that I will be doing
Hmm.
it. I'm my girlfriend and I, we like both like very work addict, both of us. We don't have kids, we don't have, so it's fine, we still like, and we understand each other the way we work, and like we
Hmm.
we very focused on this part today. We know that, like, yeah, if we don't do it now, yeah, we won't do it in like 5 6 years when you have kids at home and everything. So
Well, you,
it's
you
kind of like,
can. I did.
yeah, you can. Okay, perfect. Maybe not in the same way. I don't know. I tend maybe to go a bit too crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a moment in time, and yeah, it's like, it's beautiful. It's great to see what this community has to do. It's a beautiful job that we do. It's like,
Hmm.
like, it's so funny. I have a sentence that I say almost every time, because we have the chance to go in beautiful places around the world. We usually stay in very nice hotels, we eat in very nice restaurants, we drink in very nice bars. And and I always say this sentence, like, I always remember that guy when I started behind the bar that would be looking at me and so like, but don't you want a real job once in your life, and now I'm thinking of that back. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, I mean, what about your job today?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, obviously not every bartender in the world has this chance. So, but it's, I think still that, like, the community is evolving in a way where we can make this happen for more and more and more people
Hmm.
in our job and community. And like, it's great. I always, like, as soon as I can, I travel with someone else from my team. I always like take someone from the team. So it's crazy for them, because once again, like, most of them, they had the same experience. They've been
Hmm.
maybe working in the bar for 3 or 4 years, working in the bar industry, and like all of a sudden they end up going for 5 days in Tulum by the beach, and like shaking cocktail over there in a beautiful restaurant. And then you're like, wow, okay, that's like or like come to you in Victoria when we had like this week in Victoria. It's like, it's stupid little thing, but it really makes a difference in your career when like, you take your job, just if it's just for 1 week per year, but you take it outside
Hmm.
of your regular setup.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife works with lawyers, and on a regular basis, when we do dinners and events and stuff like that, they'll be like, "Oh, you're just a bartender." I'm like, "I get paid to travel around the world. How about you?" Like,
Yeah,
like I don't just go on vacation. I literally get paid to go somewhere and hang out in Mexico for a week.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
pretty sure you don't get an opportunity to do that. Enjoy your office, nerd. Uh, um, you were talking about community. For people in Canada, hopefully listening and looking at what Pompette's done, what sort of advice do you give for bar owners and managers out there who want to take their bar to the next level and sort of elevate their style, build the community around that neighborhood joint sort of deal? What sort of advice and what sort of steps did you take for Pompette to sort of do that? Was it subconscious, or was it actually like planned out in your head? So like, these are the things we need to do. Not so much, don't worry about the awards, but like to
Yeah,
get to a spot in your head that you were like, I am happy where Pompette is right now.
yeah. But the first thing that always been like very important for me was like, think of opening a bar. And what's a bar? Like, I a bar can be a dive bar, a bar can be a wine bar. It's like, but like, it's somewhere where you want people to feel comfortable being comfortable, like having, hanging out with friends, and like, and it's very important to, because I saw so many like talented people that open places, but you go there, you maybe have a good drink, but it's lame. Like, you
Hmm.
just like, okay, the drinks is good, but I don't want to stay here.
Hmm.
Like, I'd rather have like a drink I've good of that, but just be in an environment like, where like I'm just having a good time, or like not have good necessarily, sorry, but like with half less work or half less,
Hmm.
brain power onto a drink, and just something easy, like easier in the approach, and just having a good time. And I think that's really important because once again, it was like 90% of your customers, they they know about cocktail, but at the same time they don't know about cocktail. They
Hmm.
know what they like, they know what they don't like, but like they don't know like the fact that you use a rotovap to create this flavor, like, okay, cool, perfect. Is it good? No, but well, thanks for your rotovap, but
Hmm.
I don't having a good time, So yeah, it's like it's important to deliver something that is good. It's like, and your customer come and just have a good time, and slowly building this relationship with customers. And then like it's still something that we developing like a very strong program for next year. It's the training in within our staff. We always been doing training, like with everyone, but I feel now it's the moment to really like go step over and like
Hmm.
increase this training very, very, very um, massively, because there's so many information coming from all over the world at the moment. Like you go to so many seminars and you listen to people talk about what they're doing and la 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 la. But I was wondering the other day, I was like, but how much do I give back to my team on everything that I hear all around the
Hmm.
world? And like I have this chance of like listening to a lot of good people from around this world in very small, intimate environments. And how can I go back home and deliver that to my team in
Hmm.
the best way possible to use this knowledge and these resources that I have access by traveling in different places. And so we have a couple of thing in the books for next year that in terms of like training and education, but first very much so just for my team. um,
Hmm.
and I think it's very important having a team that is passionate, that love their job. Always, always say, I treat my team the same way I want my team to treat my customers.
Hmm.
It's like it's very important today to, like, too many times I went to work without smiling when I was working in kitchen in one restaurant specifically. Um, it was hard, and I was so upset to the at the chef, because I was like, how can someone take away the passion that I built since I'm 5 years old? I decided that I wanted to work in the
Hmm.
kitchen, and one person, by making this work in the kitchen such a bad thing for me, can take away the passion out of me. And I was like,
Hmm.
this is terrible. Or like the power of one person to take away so much something so big for myself. And so it's very important that when I see passionate people like coming and willing to work, I was like, how can we do the best thing out of them? By they keep their passion, but they keep learning every day, and they keep not making mistakes, and they learn from each mistake that they're doing, and slowly building this thing. And yeah, it's very important. Your team is very important. It's the most
100%.
important. We took the next step at the bar when I had the team that I was looking at, and I was like, wow, like those guys, like, yeah. And this
Yeah.
is when I knew that the bar was taking an extra step.
What's the plan for the next 6 to 12 months for you and for Pompette outside the educational thing we just talked about? Like, what's your direction in the next 6 to 12 months?
Um, I think it's like one of my favorite periods coming up now. It's so weird to say for so many people here, but I love this winter period.
Hmm.
Um, in like in the bar, because the bar is a back patio, so that's double our capacity during the summer,
Hmm.
and it's a lot of work. It's a like new people joining the team for a small period of time. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of la la la. It's like a massive amount of prep. It's like everyone's like heads down and like working very hard. And now that we reached the winter, it's still like I love a busy winter, like a busy night when
Hmm.
it's cold outside. like we have like 27 seats or 29 seats inside. So it's, it's like when it's warm and filled up. So I'm just gonna enjoy this winter period, I guess. Just gonna enjoy it with developing new cocktail, enjoying it with the team. Yeah, doing what we love to do, uh the best we can do it. And yeah, that's kind of like what's gonna happen. Some other stuff might happen, but I tend to be a very last minute kind of person. So it's
So in 3 months' time, when the new year's already cracked over, I'll see an Instagram post coming. We've been playing this for 6 months,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm just releasing it now.
yeah. But no, yeah, no, that's the thing. Yeah, working on this training program, recentering it into the bar. Being careful that we're not, a lot's happening for us. We're very grateful, but at the same time, it's important that we keep the team like this, and we recenter it on ourselves and be like, okay, what's our next move, without like becoming the weird, like, it's important, I feel like, to just make sure we all on the same page and keep doing exactly what we are doing before. Awards or not, awards are here at the moment. I love them. They might not be here next year, but like the job that we're doing still has to be the same or better. Probably
Nice.
better.
So when I texted you this morning, you said, "Can you send me through the questions beforehand?" And I said, "No, I like it nice and raw." And I was like, "That doesn't sound like any fun if you already know what I'm going to ask you,"
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I've literally gone completely off script for today. But there's always 5 questions I ask at the end of the podcast, which always catches every guest off guard. So, and I never send these ones through because they're the deep questions of the podcast. So, what is the one lesson or experience that has shaped your perspective the most, and how do you carry that forward in your life?
Oh, yeah, good one. I would go back to my years in kitchen, and uh, especially like this last experience that I was talking about, this restaurant that made me quit a job that was my passion for like already more than 10 years, and since I was a kid. And I was like, okay, it's crazy. We're living in like, and everyone knows like kitchen is hard, but like it shouldn't be hard that someone lose their passion because of one person. And so, and the funny thing is like all of this chef, it's always the same excuses. It's, oh yeah, but I'm doing that because I learned that way, because my chef was already doing that way with me, and I learned the hard way, so I need to give you the hard way because this is the only way to learn. Shut up. Shut up. Like, no, this is not true. You learn the hard way, and then all you're doing is like you're putting again your like all this anger that you have in yourself, and now you're delivering that on me because I'm, the new you 20 years ago. I don't think that's true. And so yeah, I'm like, it's like, how can we still deliver the same message? How can we still like make people being focusing in their work, passionate about what they're doing, very strict with themselves? I shouldn't be the ones like yelling at themselves. They should be the one yelling at themselves on their own. And like, how can we make people like very caring about what they're doing at an extremely high level without being people that are like insulting and throwing pan and eating and making someone sleep 2 hours and making come back to work, all this fucking bullshit. So yeah.
If you could leave one lasting message or piece of wisdom for the world, what would it be and why?
Oh wow. This is going deep. um um I would say learn from everyone. I don't know. It's like everyone has something to teach you in some way. And yeah, don't be cocky sometimes, because I learned as a bartender, I learned so much about making cocktail by actually people that are not making cocktail in their life, but making some other stuff, and it's very important to be open to yeah, many other people that are like, everyone's doing something that can influence your work and your job in so many different manners.
Nice. Looking back on your journey, what is something you wish you understood earlier in life?
uh Or to drink responsibly?
What was that?
Or to drink responsibly?
To drink responsibly. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one. How do you define success, and has your definition of it changed over time?
Success, being happy going at work every day, being happy with what you're delivering. In my case, also having a happy team. If someone in my team is not happy, I can't, like if I feel like there's an issue, it's hard for me like to. But yeah, yeah, just like find something that makes you happy, no matter like, and then yeah, successful is going by many different like feel like definition and words, but like yeah, it's like having a happy team, having happy customers, being proud of what we're delivering, yeah, and learning every day, learning, we keep learning, yeah.
What do you hope your legacy will be, and what steps are you taking to build it?
Oh, wow. I mean, sustainability is a big word that I'm always careful, because like I know we're trying to be sustainable in a certain category, and then you're not sustainable in another because it's too hard. But like going back to your roots, going back to what's happening in your land, uh, like the work that we do, I discovered so many ingredients that are produced in this country by farmers, but also like by working with First Nation people that like told me about like what was happening in this land before, what's happening in this land now, and like we importing so many stuff from all around the world when we could have the answer right across the streets from us. And sometimes I feel like trying to just like make people realize what's like what's just next to you, and going to discover what's very passionate and beautiful people are doing like within 100 kilometers from you, that you tend to forget too fast, because it's so easy to go to the supermarket and buy lemon from Costa Rica when you can actually find someone else doing something very cool. You just need to spend your Saturday maybe taking your car or taking your train and go find a little bit about someone, what they're doing, like yeah. So like going back to what's happening near you.
Nice.
Say the guy that travel 10 times this year.
Well, I hope that for your first podcast, I didn't mention this at the very beginning, this is your very first podcast ever, that it wasn't too bad. And now you can go out and do tons of podcasts.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and I know that you're busy, and we sort of, when I brought back the podcast, you were one of the very first people on my list, but then schedules didn't line up and things didn't line up the way I want to, but I'm so glad. You are a younger person, but I think you're an old soul, and I think that's why we just clicked at that time when we were in Toronto for the RC show. And then obviously we just geeked out and nerded out on all the exact same things that we both geek out and nerd out about. So yeah. I appreciate your time, and I'm so glad that I got a chance to sit down with you, buddy.
No, thank you for your time. It was I had a good time. Thanks, Shawn. I hope to see you soon.
Yes. I think I'm going to be in Toronto. I might be in Toronto by the end of the year, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. So